And at that time, it felt like I had everything that what my 18 years old self wanted to have. And on the other hand, this adrenaline that I used to feel, this excitement that I used to feel on a trading floor, it's disappeared.
I left private equity and I allowed myself to go on this journey of figuring out what next, and I had no clue. The money was no longer enough to keep me happy, and the type of growth that I was getting from the job wasn't the growth that I wanted anymore. Maybe I didn't even want growth anymore.
For me, the biggest trade-off was identity. So it's almost like turning away from a big part of your life. And like, who am I beyond that?
For me, it was less identity, but it was more financially, will I be okay?
Hi everyone, and welcome to Shameless Careers, a podcast helping high-achieving professionals tune into their inner voice and pursue the paths they truly want, unapologetically. As always, please like this episode to show some support to this channel. It will mean a lot to me, and I promise it will add some bonus points to your karma. Today, we're diving into a big topic: how to find out what you really want. Joining me are two incredible executive coaches. First, Tatiana Poliakova, partner at Adaptaa, ex-managing director at Nomura, and the author of an upcoming book on intensity as a superpower. And second, Daria Ibrulj, founder of FireUp Coaching, a former investment banker and private equity investor. So, ladies, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you. Very excited to be here.
Very exciting.
Let's start with the first question. Obviously, both of you have made pretty dramatic career pivots from finance into career coaching, into executive coaching. So can you tell me, how did it happen for you? What has prompted this?
When I think back to that time, it was 8 years ago, and at that time, it felt like I had everything that what my 18 years old self wanted to have. Because I came out of Soviet Union, literally with 40 Deutsche Mark in my pocket, to Germany, right? And it felt like creating the life where I will be a managing director at one of the main banks, where I could do my job almost with my eyes closed, getting paid lots of money. And at that time, I was working 4 days a week and running a team. So it's actually felt very comfortable on one hand. And on the other hand, this adrenaline that I used to feel, this excitement that I used to feel on a trading floor, when structuring a transaction, it's disappeared. And I thought, you know what, Tatiana? It's okay. It's like a golden cage, but it's really nice. So just look for joy. And I was like mentally trying so hard to find what I kind of lost. And my body was speaking to me so loudly and I was ignoring it. So I started literally developing physical symptoms, like back pain, stomach symptoms. I was like, oh, must be over-exercising, must be that. The mind creates so many stories. And then eventually, I got inspired. I got actually inspired by my client, who is now my business partner. She left before me the city, and I thought, oh my gosh, that showed me the courage to pursue and to listen to myself. So it was a scary step, for sure, to give up your identity. Like, who am I if I'm not a managing director?
And I will ask you questions about what were the things that felt like the biggest trade-offs, but let's turn to Daria first about your move out of private equity into executive coaching.
Yeah, well, a lot of what Tatiana just said really resonated. And in particular for me, it was that fire that I'd lost. So I had it going in when I was in investment banking. When I moved into private equity, I remember I could fuel myself on that energy, do all-nighters, get through investment committees, really sort of pumped, excited. Just, I'm learning so much. I'm achieving things I wanted to achieve for so long again as a really young girl that I really wanted to do. And after a few years, ironically, as I was in a more senior position where the job actually felt easier and I had more space and time, and that was when I felt more exhausted. I lost that fire. It wasn't it for me. I fell out of love, however you want to call it, all these nice, catchy words or phrases, ways of saying it. There was a conflict and a misalignment within me internally that I didn't mentally understand, but it was coming up physically through that exhaustion, through headaches, brain fog, essentially a burnout. And that was at least what prompted the beginning of this search of, well, what next? What do I want? Right? What is going to be the thing that brings that fire back? Hence also my coaching business being called FireUp, because it was all centered around this fire. It's there. Everyone has it. You can lose it. You can get it back again.
And looking back, so both of you have mentioned this term of losing a spark and not being fired up about the job anymore. Looking back, what do you think is the reason for losing this fire? What was it for you?
It's life moves on, and so do our interests, right? And that's actually a very good question, because it's like, what drives us? And people so often say, when I work now with clients, oh, it's money. Of course, I'm doing banking or I'm doing private equity because it's money. Yes, I can see that money is like the obvious thing. And there is always something behind it. There is always, like, it's stopping and asking, why do I want money? Do you know what's the reason for that? And what led to that? Might be that I stopped noticing it, or might be just was a next stage. I was ready for the next stage. That's a whole thing. We have to start learning to listen to ourselves. And what is right for one person might be not right for another.
Right. So it sounds like you were missing the next challenge as well, right? What the trading floor couldn't give you is this excitement, and you said that you were comfortable, right? And probably that's what you were uncomfortable with.
Right. That's actually very well said. Exactly right. It felt very comfortable. It felt so comfortable that I remember calling one of my clients and saying, do you know what? I have today apples and potatoes. And I was in charge of selling very structured product. And he was like, what are you on, Tatiana? And it's literally those transactions started feeling to me so simple.
Oh, right.
It's exactly
It felt
right.
like apples and potatoes and not like structured products.
Right, exactly. Exactly. It's I became too comfortable. So Daria mentioned burnout. For me, it probably was clearly bore out. Yes, intensity is one of my things. And I really enjoy when there is challenge. I really enjoy when there is growth. And it's probably, you're right, it was too comfortable.
Amazing. And Daria, for you, what do you feel was missing looking back?
So the things that drove me in the first place were growth and financial stability. And where better to do that and get that than somewhere like in the financial professional services industry or in the investment space. So I got that and I managed to thrive off of it. But my understanding of it, of what happened, was I reached my enough, especially on the financial stability, that the money was no longer enough to keep me happy. And the type of growth that I was getting from the job wasn't the growth that I wanted anymore. Maybe I didn't even want growth anymore, right? There were moments where I was sitting at my desk. I even remember staring at the screen going, who cares? Why am I doing this? I can do it. I've done it so many times. I could do it with my eyes closed. I know the next step. But why? I don't really think I want to be here anymore. And I didn't have the answer to, well, what do you want? But there was just so many signs of, it's just not it. So what was that? I think, I was reaching my 30s, new stage of life, new priorities, new values, well, not new values, but a new order of prioritization.
And when you said that you were looking at the screen and said, oh, like, who cares? Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, it was, I was in my office, first of all, little Daria being able to say she had her own office as a principal in the investment team. I'm very proud to say that. And it almost at the same time, I felt bad. I felt like I shouldn't be sitting there feeling ungrateful and not enjoying it. But actually, I was sitting there feeling kind of miserable, shutting the door, didn't want people to come in to bother me because I was like, it's taken me so much energy to just get into the office. I'm drained just to get in. And this stepping in, it felt like a weight was on me. And now I need to do a full day's work. And maybe it's going to be till midnight because there might be a deal going on or whatever. And there was this email that came in and someone really wanted to get something done, or it might have been a new idea. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I really remember the feeling of just going, yeah, who cares? Why does this matter? This is just investing, right? Whereas someone else might say, but it's investing. And that's so cool. And what a privilege to do that. Absolutely. That's not lost on me. That wasn't lost on me. But I couldn't fight the feeling that that was no longer it for me.
And I'll double click even a bit more into this, because I think what you're touching upon is this big topic of how do we find emotional meaning in work we do. And to your point, some people may think, well, investing, of course, it has like huge role in the like system that we all live in, right? So absolutely. you can find a way to connect to that. But probably for some people, it may be not, I guess, something that is too abstract and too difficult to connect to. So what was it for you that made investing feel a bit like meaningless?
A bit of the repetition. I didn't feel like I was getting the growth from it. Where I did still get excitement and a spark, because even though I had this feeling, it starts off very mildly. And so then it grows over time. So when it started mildly, I was still enjoying certain parts of the job more, in particular meeting management teams, founders, finding them inspiring, that human connection side. Loved that. So especially when we were originating or working with our portfolio companies, that got me energized because we were working as teams, or I was trying to get to know a new company and really connect with the individual who had created that. But it was the execution piece, which is a lot of the job actually in investing, of going and getting the deal done, going and buying the business, doing the diligence. And I just kind of thought, there's only so many times I can do commercial due diligence or financial due diligence and get excited by it. I know what's coming. And yeah, I can do it. But is that how I want to use my time? Not anymore.
Yeah. And what do you feel were the biggest trade-offs that were on top of your mind as you were making this decision? And Tatiana, let's go back to you.
Well, for me, the biggest trade-off was identity, actually. It's felt it was money initially, until I slowed down and really actually started working with a coach. And I realized, no, it's way beyond. Because I remember when the first doubt started creeping in and I started listening more to my body, I was kind of even joking with my husband, oh, you make me work in investment banking. And he was like, Tatiana, really? So just don't go in. And I'm like, oh, no, even though my back is hurting, it's just such an important transaction coming up. I think the sense of importance, identity, and for me, it was quite long career. I mean, I spent 25 years in banking and consulting, right? And that's genuinely what my younger self was dreaming about. So it's almost like turning away from a big part of your life and like, who am I beyond that? And I actually remember So when I decided to leave to see what am I going to pursue next, I remember being at home. The girls were at school, so they were probably around 7 and 10 at that time. And I had an au pair. And normally I would leave home like whatever, 6:15. And that time it was 7:30, and I thought, oh my gosh, I just like kind of spotted myself. Oh my gosh, I feel embarrassed that the au pair will see me at home at 7:30 a.m.
Oh my God.
Do you know? And I was like, Tatiana, this is ridiculous. And do you know what? When I work now with senior female leaders and male leaders, but particularly female on that subject, I had one client. She's telling me that if there are any dishes left in a kitchen before the nanny comes, even though she has a huge job on the Wall Street, she would be spending that time washing the dishes so that not to look like, a messy housewife. It's so many women hiding it. But we are not even stopping to realize that. There is not even space. It's like a quick thought that runs through.
What's driving females and males who experience the same to project this behavior?
It's like this picture of perfectionism. I think this perfectionist saboteur that so many girls were raised in different cultures and different schools. Be a good girl. Look good. Know the answer. So, oh my gosh, now I have to choose myself over looking good, over pleasing someone else, over my own image of what is considered to be successful. That's scary. Whatever image it is, it's like for me, was like getting out early and she's a busy woman. That's why it's understandable. She might not be cooking borscht, Well, what if I don't want to cook borscht? And I can be a good mom and actually pursue something else, right? So, and for that client that I mentioned, for her, it's like having a clean kitchen while holding a top-end career, and also like fitting in tons of things in your children's schedule and we don't stop.
I think there is also something to be said about this image of success, projecting success and high achievement. And in particular, I'm referring to your example when you said that you were self-conscious when you were at home at 7:30, right? So it does feel like almost this high achieving environments require you to be in a certain way, on it, always available, etc. And that's becomes part of the identity as well.
Yes, exactly. And I remember thinking, what am I going to say? Alicia, what am I going to say when people are asking me, Tatiana, what do you do? I'm like, wow, I had to have the whole session with my therapist on that subject. What am I going to answer?
Yeah.
Right? And it's not, like people actually outside, they don't really care. It's about how we feel inside. And that's why it's so much about honesty with self.
Daria, does it resonate with you?
Yeah, so many things. I mean, when you first asked the question, when you were explaining your situation, client situation, perfectionism was what was jumping out at me, right? And I see that with quite a lot of clients, this pattern of I want to change my job, let's say, but I don't know what, and it's quite scary going into this uncertainty. That feels uncomfortable, and what if I fail? So then the what if I fail, success failure saboteur comes in. Well, I don't want to fail, so maybe I just don't do it. And then they do nothing. So you don't even, not only do you not change the job, you don't even take a step into exploring one small shift. Tatiana often says, what if you did something just 1%? Right? That saboteur, especially the perfectionist one, cuts you off before you've done even 1%.
Yeah.
Just goes to show how if you're used to tick all the boxes along your childhood, like studies, probably all the people have studied well, went to great universities to get these top jobs, like how much fear there is to not be on this track, to tick all the boxes, right? Because to your point, any risk, any detour may lead, you don't know where, you're not even sure which boxes you're taking, if you're taking them. And this is just shows the level of discomfort of not doing the right thing.
Yeah. And do you know what happens then to women? And might be to men and to some men as well. They start filling their to-do list. And everything becomes important. I had another client who was telling me, Tatiana, do you know? I look on my to-do list and I know, okay, yoga will help me. Do you know? Because that's what, again, it's on the mental level. She said, so it becomes another item on the to-do list. And then that was a sign when I knew that something has to change. Because, you know, it's just, we cannot even choose a joyful activities that meant to fill our soul. And then they just become another item. So we, you know, these women start running at high speed, almost away from themselves. Because if you don't have time to think, if you don't have time to feel, that's actually very much for male clients a challenge, for, you know, generalizing, of course, then things are okay.
And Daria, for your trade-offs personally, was the identity also the main one?
Not so much, because I felt like I'd taken the time to slowly detach myself from it anyway. And I think perhaps from an identity point of view, I never fully attached to being a banker or an investor. And that was because, well, I don't know exactly why. I think it's because I always try to keep my life full of other things. So even when I was working insane hours in banking, I knew that I really valued my relationships, my friends, my family. I went into banking knowing I do not want this job to be the reason I lose friends. I knew that it happened to people, so that was my aim for myself. I will be happier if I don't lose these other aspects of me, especially because a lot of my friends didn't go into banking or some of these high-flying jobs. And so I knew that that also kept me grounded. It gave me perspective. And so by having done that I think allowed me to not get sucked in as much into this, in some cases, inevitable situation people find themselves in of you're on that hamster wheel and now I need the next promotion and more money and a bigger house and I need more money to pay for the mortgage on that house and it keeps going, building. You have the lifestyle creep and that seeps into your identity as well. I feel like I somehow managed to have a bit of a shield with that. So for me, it was less identity, but it was more financially, will I be okay if I leave this job? Have I decided what my enough is to be able to say, I've now got enough to feel financially secure and now I can prioritize something else. So that was the tricky bit to really understand, did I have enough? And if I did have enough, then what?
And how did you do it? How did you understand if it's enough?
I started to imagine what, if I stopped earning a certain amount of money, what my life would look like. Do this exercise with clients as well of let's try and figure out what is your enough, because you can keep chasing forever. You could just keep saying, but I need more, I need more, I need more. Well, do you need more? What are you solving for? Needing or wanting money isn't a bad thing in and of itself, but when it's done blindly and you don't know when to stop, that's where I see a lot of really unhappy and lost people. And so when I work with clients, I'll say, open up Excel, right? You're great at Excel. Most of them are.
Clearly.
Open up Excel and you're going to do one of the simplest little models. Write down everything that you spend money on and put a number on it. How much do you need a year to have the life that you want to have? So I'm not saying strip it to the bare bones. I'm not saying don't go to the hairdressers, don't get your nails done, whatever else. Keep those things in because you like doing them. So you tell me. So if you were to keep them, how much, like have a number in mind. Okay, so then to achieve that number, do you have to do this job? All right, some people might say yes. Yes, I do. Okay, or this kind of job. But sometimes some people say, no, actually, I don't. I could, it almost gives them permission to consider something else. Like, I guess I'm not stuck now that they see this number. And so some clients on that basis and with other exercises choose to leave their job. I have other clients who've gone from one private equity to another. So they've decided, no, I do still need the money actually to get my kids through private school, to pay for this mortgage and whatever else. But actually what wasn't working for me was the environment that I was in at this company. So they went and found another similar job, equity, getting paid similar because yes, money did still matter. But they were going into the new job with more awareness of why they had chosen that one. And they were aware that it was one of the reasons was the money, but also 3 other things, more collegiate environment. They felt that they had more space to grow. And they could just be themselves more because they were respected, let's say.
So it's about looking into the money topic and being honest with yourself as to how important it is for you versus other things.
Yes.
And it's totally cool to go either way, right? For some people, freedom and doing something else may be more important. For some people, they do value this lifestyle that they have. Totally fine. But then let's think about why you're here with a career coach. Maybe it's something else, right? That bothers you. And let's fix that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Tatiana, what has helped you on the identity side? Because if that was the biggest trade-off that you felt back then, what has helped you most to overcome this doubt?
Yeah, it's actually slowing down and understanding what is really important for me, and who am I beyond that identity. What actually are my strengths? How do I impact others? It's taking kind of like zooming out on life and zooming out on different almost like stages of your life and thinking, okay, that might be 5 years ago, that was really an important part of me. And now it's a next stage, it's an evolution. So it's like, I ask my clients, for example, and that's what I did myself, and I found very useful exercise. You look at your life and you think, okay, what are my high and lows? So it's almost like this game of snakes and ladders. And when you see like those, say, 3 top points, high points, and 3 low points, and you look at yourself in those moments, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses in these moments, and you start seeing yourself beyond just this one event, this one choice. Start seeing it as an overall journey, and that everything, all those stages led to the person who you are. And you would see that there are similarities between strengths and weaknesses, because weaknesses are often overused strengths. And as a result, that zooming out on ourselves and our life allows us to see that we are much more than our job. And that there is more, there are more of those stages, and it's not going to be a straight line.
And as you went through this thought process and exercise you've mentioned around looking at your highs and your lows in your life, what conclusion have you come to, and how did you make a choice of selecting executive coaching as the next step?
Well, it's looking at the values or understanding what is important for you. Like, what were the days when I was really excited being in office? And I really connected at being like connection, growth, like this challenge, transparency were really important drivers. So I'm like, wow, I actually do enjoy so much being in a room with other people and observing and helping them to grow, and through that actually growing myself. So it's just like, it's literally become an investigator of inner joy but it's a little bit more than that. It's like going beyond the mental world, right? So it's like what emotions were coming up in that moment, what were the most exciting moments in your previous jobs, right? What was driving you then? How did it feel in your physical body, right? And then based on that, recreating something or creating something new that resonates with that. And it's so important to experiment.
Yeah.
And, take like this 1% changes at a time. I definitely, before even making those big decisions, right? Well, try to experiment inside your current position. What if you make a certain shift to something that gives you more joy? Like Daria said, can you see more clients? Can you get involved in more development work in your organization? And might be not, or might be yes. Because sometimes people confuse the burnout from exhaustion because they didn't put boundaries in place.
So it could be that the problem is not that they're doing something wrong, but simply because they are working too much, for example.
They're tired. And they don't stop back to really reflect on it. And they think they need to sort it out all on their own. And that's the biggest illusion.
And all at once.
Yeah. So it sounds like almost as much as possible you need to get the information about what energizes you, what could be this impediment to you being happy. Maybe it's simply putting boundaries, to your point, on something as practical as that. Basically using your current situation as much as possible and with help of coaches to facilitate this process, to get some kind of puzzle pieces, right, of what is it that's important to you. And then at least based on that, you can see what this next direction could be. But you need to go through this first step to understand it about you.
It's a journey. You always say that as well. It's a journey. It's no quick fix. And you have a lot more information about yourself than you might realize that you have in your current situation, right? And so it's about taking that step back and sort of noticing, I felt happy or lighter when I did this. I suddenly felt really heavy, even just stepping into the office.
What do you feel has been, based on your coaching practice, was there anything else in terms of tools, exercises, experiments that have been most helpful for people to figure out what they want? So we spoke about being very observant about moments when you feel happy, your highs and lows, gathering information this way, experimenting. Was there anything else that you find quite useful on this journey?
Well, the finding what you want is actually one of the most difficult things that people are really struggling with. And there are tons of exercises on connecting with your desires, allowing yourself to, I know that you do write down
100 once, yeah.
Oh, tell me more about that, yeah.
Yeah, I love this one. I use it with most of my clients, especially the ones whose goal is to figure out what next and what do they want. And this is where we start and for anyone who wants to do it, I really encourage it. So it's 100 once. You get a piece of paper, ideally lined, so you can write it and it's very clear to follow. And you write down in one sitting, no pauses, no breaks, no toilet break, no snacks, nothing else, 100 things that you want. And each one is numbered. Each one starts with I want. And you keep going until you get to 100. And it's hard, right? It's hard to do it. And there are some, at least the version that I do, there are some rules. It cannot be what you do not want. It has to be I want something. It cannot be something you want for somebody else. It has to be something that you want for yourself. And it cannot be something that you think you should want, right? It has to, so this is the part, that's the hardest one, where you dig a little deeper of, is this really what I want? Or is it because everyone else is doing it that I think I want it too? And it's a wonderful exercise. Personally, when I did it first myself, it was scary, actually, to even give myself permission to want 100 things and to find 100 things to want. So it's sort of a first step into this journey of allowing yourself to explore wants, even when you just don't know. Just start writing it down. And from a coaching point of view, it's very informative because I can see already how self-aware somebody is, how much permission they are currently giving themselves to want, to be allowed to have desires or a purpose, to talk about it, to share it without shame. And so how we're going to keep working from there. And then it opens up all sorts of insights. You know, some clients say, oh, I actually realized that a lot of what I want is achievable. And it just felt really heavy when it was all in my head before. Or some others say, oh, it was actually a lot more materialistic than I expected it to be. I'm going to sit with that. For others, it's, oh, my career wants, there were only 2 out of 100. Yet I spend most of my time worrying about my job.
Yeah.
So it's just these insights. I love the tool. That's my one, but you might have
So
some.
I have different versions of that tool. So I love 100 Desires. And with some clients, I actually ask them to do consciousness stream. So it's also 100 Desires, but you do it first thing in the morning when you wake up. You like ask a question at the end, what is it what I really want? And then you spend 2 minutes literally writing without paying any attention to like commas or anything, right? And you do it for a week. And then, and only after doing this conscious stream, you sit down and you write your 100 wants. And I might not put them under pressure to do it straight away in one go. Just like, you know,
Just like Daria.
I love that.
No, sometimes it works with some people like this.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's like, you know, yes, do it over a week, right? Yourself, and allow yourself being like, what are the crazy ones? What are really naughty ones? Because, you know, like people don't connect with that. And what might be your déjà vu wants, which you wanted already 3 years ago and you did nothing about it. And you keep on saying every year that you're going to do the same thing. Or might be what actually the wants that are probably not even yours. So I give them those different prompts depending on where they are. And it's good to see like, you know, the list of shoulds is also a good path to get to wants, because like, I should do this. I should want that, you know? Really? Okay, write them all down, because those shoulds show you, is it really coming from you or is it coming from the teacher in the primary school or your dad or your mom or your sister or your brother, or like somebody with whom you compared yourself.
You've mentioned it earlier that a good exercise is to try to replace the shoulds with can and want. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes,
I think that's
exactly.
very telling.
Yeah, but you have to, for that, you know, what I find, so many people have such a strong inner critic and inner judge. So even when I ask them, okay, write wants, there is a lot of the stuff starts coming out, almost judging yourself for what we want, you know? So, and as a result, okay, fine, let's go there. What are the shoulds?
Yeah.
So you write down the list, and then you look at that list, and like, okay, how can I exchange that with I want or I can? And if you don't want and you can't, let it go. Is it really yours?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Another good question to ask is like, if there was one wish, if there was like a fairy godmother, what would you wish? People struggle with that.
The perfectionism kicks
Right?
in.
So it's like, so there are many different ways, but it's like arriving eventually at a list of your 100 wants, and then looking at that list and circling the ones that really excite you. Because do you know what? In that list, there will be the wants that are not as important to you. And there will be something that holds you back from the one or three that are really going to make all the difference. Because when we are focusing on everything, nothing gets done, right? We dilute yourself. So that's when to-do list becomes like just even stuff that you used to love becomes just another item. So it's all these exercises as a path actually to getting to what is really most important for you. And then you focus on that, and that will be your lighthouse where you can put boundaries so that you learn to say no to things that are not aligned with your big yes. At this moment, you might change it in a year's time, and that's okay. You might change it in half a year. You might wake up tomorrow and you're like, no, now I truly want I truly know what I want.
And is there any signal to watch out for as you look at this list to help you identify what is it, this anchor, like lighthouse desire that you have? Because I can imagine that once you have gathered all this list and you have a directional idea of many things that you enjoy, singling out this anchor priority one, that's kind of this next difficult step. So what is it that someone can do to understand what is it for them?
It's going on a journey, because basically you cannot solve it as a mental puzzle. It's like it takes time. It's actually, people are so dishonest with themselves because they haven't deciphered what is theirs and what is not theirs. So it's not like, okay, and now I have this tool, this like one box that fits it all, and I'm just going to go there and do that. No, it's a journey.
And also I wanted to go back to a point earlier around experimentation and looking at excitement and energy levels, because I think energy and excitement is one of these big signs of what is it that you want. So the moment you have some direction, experiment, have some conversations, and see that it really fills you up with excitement and joy, maybe that's kind of a good way of...
Yeah, and explore and give yourself permission to not know. Don't fear that unknown, because you have to step into it to then eventually get clarity. I remember for me it was, there were moments where I was sort of bashing my head trying to figure out what is my purpose, what is my passion. So I left private equity and I allowed myself to go on this journey of figuring out what next, and I had no clue. I didn't know what next, and I lent into things that I thought I might like that I daydreamed about at work. So and also looking at what is my passion, what is my purpose, and really like these were heavy words for me. I don't love them now because of it. That's my own personal they just feel really like these big grandiose things, and it can be much lighter. And so where did I start? Okay, I love food. Absolutely love food. Obsessed with it, think about it all the time. So I was like, okay, maybe that's a passion. And I went to talks at the British Library, met some amazing people that I'm still in touch with now from that. I met loads of chefs, restaurant owners, different people. I looked up cooking schools, really went into how can I turn this into something that I do next. And the more I looked into it, the more I was like, oh, no, absolutely not. I love food, but I love the way that I love food now. I love cooking it when I'm in the mood to cook it, not under timed pressure to serve a perfect dish in a restaurant. I love enjoying it with friends, with people, but people that I know. I don't want to, So I unraveled it and I realized it's not that. So I didn't figure out what I wanted, but I figured out what I didn't want. And I managed to put that little sort of idea that had been trying to scream out for attention, I just put that to bed. And I'm okay with that. And I got rid of some of that noise. And then I did this whole trip to Brazil. Or maybe if I surround myself with beautiful things and do loads of yoga and swimming by the sea, I'll find my purpose. And I did not. And I was like, maybe connection is my purpose. Okay. And then what? And then this is the last thing I want to say about this, because it really stuck with me. I came back and I met up with a friend who's this beacon of wisdom. I don't know how she does it. And she just listened to me, really frustrated about I still haven't found my purpose. And she just looked at me and said, what if your purpose is just to be? I looked at her like, what? Is that allowed? Is that a thing? And it just hearing her say that gave me permission to let go of the pressure of needing to find a purpose. And it was with that I continued on searching. And eventually, I came to becoming an executive coach, but it was because I'd opened up my mind to the possibility of it a little bit more and allowing myself that it might fail. So I said, okay, well, what's the first step I can take to get towards that? I can talk to some other coaches. So I went and did that. I can sign up to a coaching course. And I was signing up to it and I said to myself, I give you permission to not go down the path of becoming a coach, even if you pay for out of pocket and do this coaching course. And it was because I gave myself permission that I really enjoyed it to the fullest. And so when I got even halfway through it, I was like, this is it. I felt it. I was excited by it. It didn't feel heavy. And I'm not saying that everyone will feel that same way, but I had the moments of frustration and bashing my head and being lost and clueless. Those informed me at least to know that when I find something that I do like and does feel right, I can feel that. So that's what I meant earlier when I said all these little signals, all this information you have around you is there. You just have to choose to hear it and feel it and see it and take note of it.
And remove the pressure, first and foremost, right?
Absolutely.
To find it as soon as possible. Open the blinders and then, just embrace it and see what your feelings tell you about a particular activity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And life is messy. So remembering it, like, this experimentation. And one of the great exercises which helped me and helps a lot my clients is energy audit. You literally write down people, places, activities, and write 3 columns. In one column is like the one clear yes, and another column is clear no, and then the column in the middle is maybe. And you go through all the people, like the main people in your life, and like, do they give you energy? Do they drain you of energy? Or they maybe? And that gives you a real clarity on where your energy sources and where your energy drainers. You do the same for activities. You do the same for places.
Yeah. And
that will evolve, right? And then there are various tools of how to move to more yeses. Like there was one, even with my mom and with some of my clients, one of my clients told me, Tatiana, but my mom is on the energy drainers. And I'm like, but I need to see my mom. I'm like, okay, that's fine. In what situation is your mom not energy drained for you? Or when I have a lunch with just for 1 hour or 1 hour and a half, and when we don't touch on certain topics, wonderful. So those are now your boundaries.
Yeah.
Lunches with your mom where you enjoy yourself and you learn to switch the topic of the conversation. You don't go there where there is a drain.
Yeah.
So now her mom became much more energizer rather than a drainer.
To wrap up, what would be the one tip that you could leave the listeners with in terms of finding out what you really, really want to do?
I'd say do a simple core values exercise. And it might sound big and heavy. Some people might not like the word values. It's more of a, what are your drivers? And there are really easy exercises you can find online. I can send you one that I've used for myself as well. But just to start inviting this exploration of how do I name what drives me? Start there. Just start making what is happening internally in your head, in your body, start making it something you're aware of and you can understand just that little bit more.
Yeah, for me, it's first give yourself permission that you are important enough to focus your energy on. That actually you are the most important player in your film of life. And as a result, since you're most important, create space for yourself to even what is it, 10 minutes to sit with your cup of coffee, to reflect on your thoughts, feelings, sensations, and ask for help. So many people don't ask for help. They think they need to get through the messiness of life on their own.
Yeah, you won't mentalize your way out of it.
Exactly. And remember that you are a human being, as you said about being. And so often, somehow, we run around life as human doings.
Amazing. On that note, ladies, thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you.
Really, really loved our conversation.
Loved it. Thank you so much, Daria.
Thank you.